Hi, this is Gautam. Welcome back. So, if you give me 5 minutes, then I'll help you understand one of the most important metrics that investors use to evaluate a financial institution or a bank. I'm talking about the ROE metric. So, in 5 minutes, I'll help you understand why ROE is so important and how to quickly use it to analyze a bank or any financial institution for that matter. Right? So, this would be video one. So, in this video one, as I said, I'll give you an understanding of ROE and how to use it quickly to evaluate any financial institution. All right. And yeah, so, and if you give me, by the way, if you give me 7 minutes more, which would be video two. So in video two, I'll get into more details around how to analyze in detail, how to analyze banks and financial institutions using this ROE metric. All right. So that will be video two. So, all right. So let's get started with video one. Okay.
See, one of the key metrics that you should look for when evaluating a bank is look for return on equity. Okay, and return on equity for a company is how much money that company makes on 1 rupee of equity. Equity is company ka khud ka money, that is company's own money. So how much money a company makes on 1 rupee of equity or $1 of equity is that is what return on equity is. Okay, but one thing, why is ROE important? Why I'm like stressing on ROE? Okay, see, long-term stock compounding for banks, they follow book value per share compounding, okay, which in turn depends upon a bank's ability to deliver high ROE over the long term. Okay? That's why ROE is very important. Okay? So all the analysts, they track ROE. Okay? But obviously ROE is not sufficient. Okay? So, but first, let's look at the ROE of the leading banks in India. SBI is a public sector bank, ROE 17%. HDFC, ICI, Kotak, Axis, they are private sector banks. So उनका ROE यहाँ पे mentioned. All right. Okay. Now let's take it a step further. I said ROE is not the only metric that obviously you should look at. So see, if I this equation return on equity, profit after tax by equity, okay, if I multiply and divide by assets, okay, then the above this equation can be rewritten as ROE is net profit divided by assets times assets divided by equity. तो इसका मतलब क्या हो गया? ROE is actually return on assets. This net profit divided by assets is return on assets. Okay, times leverage. Leverage is assets by equity. Okay, but what is return on assets? See, return on assets का मतलब ये हुआ कि very simplistically talking, okay, let's say an ROA of 2% means that the lender makes ₹2 on a loan on a loan book or loan assets of ₹100. तो 2% ROA का मतलब हुआ कि 100 रुपए के लोन में 2 रुपए बैंक कमा रहा है. That is what a 2% ROA means. Okay, वो तो ठीक है, but then what is leverage? Okay, let's look at this table. Okay, look at this table. Here I have ROA and leverage listed for all these banks. Okay, so if you look at HDFC has an ROA of 2%. That means HDFC is making ₹2 on a loan asset of 100 rupees. 2 रुपए कमा रहा है 100 रुपए के लोन में HDFC और ICICI. Okay? And they are 8.5 times leverage. Okay? What does it mean? If you look at SBI, it's 15 times leverage. Okay? What does it mean? So leverage का मतलब is asset by equity. So if you look at SBI, what it means is, okay, on assets of ₹100, okay, it has an equity of ₹6.5. 100 divided by 6.5 is around 15. Okay, if you look at HDFC, it is 8.5 times leverage. What it means is on assets of ₹100, it has an equity of ₹15. 15 रुपए का leverage. Okay, so if you see, higher the leverage, lower the equity the bank has on assets of ₹100. Okay, so that's one way to understand leverage. The other way to understand leverage is, okay, if you look at this formula here, leverage equals debt plus equity by equity. So it reduces to 1 plus debt by equity. So इसका मतलब if SBI has leverage of 15, that means for 1 rupee of SBI's own money, it needs to borrow 14 times. HDFC, for 1 rupee of their own money, they need to borrow 7.5 times. That's another way to look at leverage. Okay, all right. So see, why I'm stressing on leverage? Okay, see, it's lower the leverage, it's better because that means you have more equity, okay, on a set of ₹100. lower the leverage, it's better. Why? It's because when you have leveraged balance sheets, a small change in asset quality wipes out a big portion of your equity, which leads to credit agencies downgrading the stock and the stock price starts falling. Okay, that's why when you look at ROE, double click on ROE and see what is driving ROE, whether it's ROE or leverage. Okay, all right, and this is the DuPont formula, by the way. Okay, all right, all right. So always prefer banks which have lower leverage and high ROE. All right, all right. And one thing more, and why do you think the ROA return on assets of these banks are so different? SBI, it's 1%, Axis less than 1%. Well, for Axis, it's less than 1% because they had some legacy issues and thus they acquired the consumer business of Citi some time back. So that's why. But SBI ka 1% kyun hai? So see, and even other banks like Punjab National Bank and other banks, their ROA is on the lower side. So to kind of understand ki ROA aisa kyun hai, let's just spend a few minutes. Let's double click on the asset profile and the liability profile of, let's say, let me pick ICICI Bank. Okay. And yeah, then you'll understand what actually drives ROA. Okay. And then you can use the same explanation to any bank that you are evaluating. All right. Okay.